Hello viewers, and welcome to Reminiscences. Our guest today is Alhaji Umaru Dembo, who is a veteran journalist and a publisher, also a businessman and a politician. Indeed, someone who has contested more than once for the governorship of Kaduna State, and also became the Minister of State for Petroleum under the government of General Sani Abacha in 1993 to 94. Alhaji Umaru, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
This is something very familiar to you. But let's start with your early life.
The ministerial appointment was 97, 98.
Okay, 97.
1997, 98, yes.
This is not under Abacha then?
It's under Abacha.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we start with your early life in Zaria?
Anywhere, I'm free to catch up.
Yeah.
I was born in 1943. And although I basically say I was born in Zaria, but at that time we had no local governments, all these pieces of things. I was born in Ikara. And Ikara was under Zaria province, no matter what happens. I was born in 1943. Then after some time, I became, my father was transferred. My father was a teacher. So he was transferred to several other places before I grew big. But by 1950, we were in Auchan, also in Zaria province. It's also under Ikara, local, now Ikara local government. I spent 3 years there, classes 1 to 3. Then we moved to Kudan. From Kudan, I did the 4th class. Then eventually we came to Zaria for an interview at the provincial secondary school, Zaria. And I was lucky to pass. So I was taken to Giwa as a senior primary school. We spent 3 years at Giwa and we took examinations. Some passed to the government college, Zaria, government college Zaria, and some of us passed to provincial secondary school. Initially, I did not pass any of the two, but later on it was discovered that 11 of us had the same bracket marks. So we were all called, the 11, for an interview. And out of the 11, I was the lucky one who passed. And so I was a student in provincial secondary school. So
in Zaria? This is
Zaria, yes, that is provincial secondary school, Zaria. Then from there, after my 5 years, we were the first class to get a 5-year bonus instead of 6 years in secondary school. I went to College of Agriculture. There, I did not stay for a long time because it was funny that time. Those for executive courses will be given 14 pounds, 450 pounds, whereas those of us who also graduated from the secondary school after 2 years course, theirs is only 6 months. They get 450. We will do 2 years and will get maybe only 20 pounds increase on 180 pounds per annum. So I said they are not wise because agric is where they should have spent more money. And so I left agriculture. I went to Federal Office of Statistics. Federal Office of Statistics, we had one American there training us. and so many other people in the field were doing the analysis of whatever they brought, or various materials, food items, people, whatever, markets, and were to be sent to America for a degree and eventually a doctorate course. But I was not, maybe either myself or what, I don't know. I didn't wait long enough. So I left and joined the NTC, Nigerian Tobacco Company.
Did some of your classmates get this opportunity to go to America later from this time?
Yes, some others got the opportunity to go to America to do various studies, including the statistics that I had, yes. Some did. Yeah. So I went to NTC as a salesman. After some time in NTC, I still wanted to do broadcasting because I felt that was the place best for me. But already my senior brother was in the broadcasting business. He was in the NBC. So I was afraid, how can I and my brother be? But eventually that was solved. Late Abubakar El Nafati asked us to come for an interview. We went for an interview, and late, I think so, Moody Oyelide was head of programs. When he heard my voice, he was very impressed. He said, this is a broadcast voice. He has a broadcast voice. I must take you. So they took me as a studio manager. I was employed as a studio manager. When I went to Voice of America, and when I went for a course in Lagos, then those at the Voice of Nigeria Hausa Service were giving me scripts to write, news, and so on. And even the national network, I was given the chance to be an announcer temporarily, and I was doing very well. So
basically you chose broadcasting. Yes. All this journey into salesman, agriculture, and clerk is something that you...
Exactly. My choice was broadcasting, and I was doing it very well.
But at that point you are not a trained journalist. So you went later to Fleet Street to train as a journalist from
That's right. I was not trained.
So how was the experience in Fleet Street? This was in England, in London?
Yes.
Or was it something you did by correspondence?
No, I was given scholarship by the Kaduna State government. And we went there for a 2-year course. And it was very nice because we had people from all over Africa, and some were non-Africans. And we enjoyed our sojourn as journalists. And when I finished...
Was there any bad experience? I mean, you are in London, I guess, for the first time.
Yeah.
As a black person. This would be in the 1960s, late?
Yes, 1969.
Right.
That was when I went to late 1969.
So how was the experience? What was good and what was negative about it?
Well, even from housing myself, when we went to the housing agents, were sent to the owners of the house to be given the room, they seemed to look at us as something else, as if we were not human beings, but we still tolerated. And it was not easy. The food we were getting to eat there, eventually we were able to buy some cooking utensils, and we were cooking our own food to eat ourselves, and it was much better. But on the whole, it was a good experience.
Who are your classmates? Do you have any from Nigeria? Or?
Yes, there was one, Ibrahim Madaki, who used to be editor New Nigerian newspapers at that time. Actually, it was because of him that I knew Mohamed Daula. And who else? Other people like Adamu Muhammad. He was also with the in NBC with us. Adamu Muhammad Miso. Also, there was another Adamu. I cannot remember his second name.
So when you finished the course,
yes,
you also changed those jobs. When you came back, you didn't go back to your announcer job or studio manager?
I came back to my announcer job.
All right.
But then, because I had met Mama Daura in London while we were there for the 2 years, we had good interaction. I used to pick him from the airport to his hotel, and when he's going back to Nigeria, I used to pick him from the hotel to the airport.
At that time, Mamadou was the editor of New Nigeria?
Was the editor of New Nigeria
Right.
newspaper. So he told Ibrahim Madaki to ask me if I was interested in employment with the New Nigerian newspaper. So I said to Ibrahim, why not? It's a pleasure if I could get it. And when I finished, I went back to NBC and registered formally as having come back and continued with my job. Then I went to him and said, sir, I'm back. So he arranged, I was employed. I was given a letter of employment as assistant editorial executive or something like that. And I resigned my other job at NBC and started work with the New Nigeria. Unfortunately, not too long ago, after I took the job, then I got another job from the Ministry of Information, Kaduna State. Then that time we were Kaduna and Katsina. I thought it was much safer to be with the Ministry of Information than with the New Nigeria.
What were you doing with the ministry? I saw something about Festac.
Yes.
You were involved with Festac.
Yes.
This is 77?
Exactly. With the Festac, we were very friendly because I was admin secretary of the Kaduna State Council for Arts and Culture. I had connection with the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, in Egamu, Lagos. One Dr. Ashwaju was in charge. He was very keen, and so when a group was going to America, he selected me to be the one to be introducing the group whenever we went to the various cities in America. And we went successfully and came back. And when we went to Ghana there was a trade fair, we went there for a show. We also went to Ghana. I was also the one who was the one introducing all the artists as they played. Later on, 77, I was also one of those who did the Festac announcers. There were 3 of us. Later, Adamu Augi, late Khalifa Baba Ahmed, and myself. So the ones who did the announcements for Festac 77, Festac Daba in Kaduna.
At what stage did you leave government employment and set up as a businessman, as your own publisher? Because that's what you are better known for.
That's right. We're just at the point. Because after the Festac 77,
yes,
I left government employment. And then I didn't know what to do.
Why did you leave? Most people with a nice civil service job will stay until retirement.
Yes. I left because I had one nasty experience before during Murtala. Murtala Ramad Muhammad, when he came, he sacked a lot of the innocent permanent secretaries, directors, and so on, who made no money, and they said they were blamed of cheating, corruption, and so on and so forth. I thought it was not the best. So I thought I must.
But that didn't touch you. No,
it didn't touch me, yes. But it touched my heart.
Okay.
And I had 2 wives at that time, and I think about 4 or 5 children. So I said, where are we going? If I stayed in government business, I may not be able to continue to sustain my family. So the best thing I did was to, first of all, try to organize myself business-wise. Of course, with my book, the Taulado Ame Wutia, which I wrote, we produced and were selling to primary schools in various parts of the north. And I was making some money.
What is the book about? Is it a fiction?
Taulado Ame, yes, is a science fiction. And it had to do with going to the space. And I wrote it in 1960s. And it's still...
is it still in print?
Yes, it is. It is. So when I left the government service, I didn't know which one to do. I had experience in broadcasting, in television, and the newspaper. But then I could only get license for newspaper publication. None for broadcasting, none for television. So I started, and we tried, and eventually I started printing the telex newspaper. Later on, we started printing the Hausa version, the Zuma, in Zaria. Those were the first definite private newspapers that were constantly being published by us.
But why Zaria? A lot of people will be surprised at the location. Why not Kaduna, which is a bigger?
Yes, eventually Kaduna is bigger, but I didn't have any facilities in Kaduna to start. So if it were to be Kaduna, I had to start negotiations, begging, whatever, business plans, all I knew, involve other people who may not have the same ideas with me. But this one, whatever I got, I was putting into the newspaper.
So where did you start? Did you start it in your backyard or something?
Not backyard, but I had guest houses in Tudunjuku. I had some houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses, 6 houses, 3 in one place, 2 in one place, 1 in another place. So I use those ones, 3 and 2. They are not very far from one another, and I use those and was buying machines, getting people, employing people, selling people.
But it suggests then, by then you must be a fairly well-established businessman to be able to afford all that outlay, machines and premises like that.
Yes, I must say, but I didn't realize. I was too young to understand that I was very... But I just wanted to do newspaper business. And since there was no place I could go and give my views, write or broadcast, so I was enjoying it.
So you said telex
yes.
is Perhaps one of the first private newspapers
Yes.
in the northern part of the country.
Yes.
How was the reception? How did it go as a business?
It went on very well, except that the people who should patronize us never patronized us.
It's a weekly, right?
It's a weekly.
Weekly.
Even if they patronized us, they never get to pay us. So it was a very, very difficult business. When it is good, they will praise you. They will say, yes, yes, this is nice. It's important to see us next week. And you never see them again. Oh, dear. And if it is in Lagos, the advertising companies will just, let me say, use their words, chop our money. And they will
chop the money?
They will not give us. They will not give us. They will just chop the money and then leave us alone. So
did this apply to Zuma also, the Hausa?
Yes, both, because I was doing the same thing. I employed so many people. I employed some people somewhere in Maiduguri, some in Lagos, some in Sokoto, some in various places, Bauchi, everywhere we had agents. And I had kit cars and panel vans with Zuma and Telex. Both sides.
Distribution.
Yes, distribution. Up and down, and we were not making any money. So
how long did you continue before you gave up?
Well, I think, let's say from 1980, 81, 82 to 1990, 1998, to 1998 or 1999 or thereabouts, before we collapsed.
Did you sell the business?
They started stealing most of my machineries. So the best thing I thought was to start selling them myself. I needed the money. So when I see how much I was losing, then I started selling the machineries, various machineries that we had. And in the long run, I sold even the houses, the lands that I had a lot of things, you know. Even before then, we ordered newsprint from Holland, and they brought them. I had to hire warehouses in Zaria. We hired warehouses and they dumped them. I paid. They dumped them there, and people will order newsprint from me, and they will come and pack them. And eventually, we finished with the problem, but it was not easy.
But will you say that despite these challenges, publishing has a reward? Because I don't know if it didn't launch you as a politician, being well-known publisher, you are able to have influence.
Yes, the one interesting thing was that because there were no publishers in the north, they were equating me with Abiola. I was laughing at them because Abiola had all sorts of money, and I didn't have any money. I was just struggling, go and work, and when I work, what I get, I come and put into. But they are saying this Abiola, another Abiola. So, and it gave me a lot of advertisements, and I think I enjoyed it because it was a field I liked. So if no matter how much you spend, if you get your reward as what you wanted to be, and I was, even here in Abuja, I can remember, they gave us land, myself and Abiola, for newspaper printing press in Idu or somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, they gave Abiola, they said, this is for Abiola, this is for Umaru Dembo from the north. Then they gave us even some houses. This where these banks are near.
Garki?
Is it Garki? Before Yaliam.
Okay.
That around that's looking like. They gave us land for a bank there. They gave us one for Abiola, one for Umaru Dembo. I felt good.
Did it give you then? Did it start you up to think maybe politics then is my next step after publishing?
Yes. You know, what kicked me into politics most was the Constituent Assembly, which I was nominated. I was nominated as a member of the Constituent Assembly. That was where I met so many people who had lifetime friends, like late Dr. Bello Katagu, Abba Dabo, and Abba Gana Bafura. He was one time in MD and LG, LNG. And also, like, we met so many people during that time. The immediate past SGF were on the same conference with them.
Yeah,
Not Yaya. The one who left recently, Mustafa,
okay,
Boss Mustafa.
Boss, yes.
Boss Mustafa. This some of this one with Glow.
Adenuga?
Adenuga.
Mike Adenuga.
We were together all in the conference. So many people were met.
So that's your beginning point of politics.
Because at that time we had problems. There were so many problems between the North and the South. Not the North and the South, per se. They are trying to make it religious, a religious problem. So
the Sharia debate.
Yes, exactly. So one day I just called a press conference on a Friday and said our chairman at the KCMG, he was honored with KCMG, which is a Christian honor. Yeah. So I said, it's just like to say Sheikh Gumi is heading this assembly, so he should resign and let us have one neutral person to work.
So you added to the controversy.
When I wrote that, I gave. So I ran away, I went to Zaria. And some people were looking for me. They said to beat me. I don't know whether they could beat me or not. But they were saying that they ought to deal with me. Because they read whatever I wrote themselves. I was not the one who asked. I did a press conference. And somebody got a copy of the security. Got a copy and took to the chairman. So they said, this is what one honorable member of Morgan wrote. So when they said, house adjourned, she said, indefinitely.
So you said the Constitutional Assembly was what launched you. Tell us about your journey into politics. It seems to closely follow on the heels of General Muhammadu Buhari, if I may say so. You seem to swim together in the same party. ANPP, later on CPC.
Okay. I was in politics well before Muhammadu Buhari. But the coincidence is that in 2003, I met retired Buhari president at Mecca, Saudi Arabia. He came out from Haram and I came out from Haram to meet him. So he was thinking of, at that time, trying to get into politics. So he gave me his phone number and said I could meet him anytime, every Sunday.
In Mecca or here in Nigeria?
No, he gave me his number and said I could meet him in Nigeria when we get back every Sunday. And since then, I think most of the Sundays I was with him. If I couldn't be with him, there must be some communication. Maybe we might have met, or we'll see on the following day, on Monday, or we had seen earlier on.
So you will visit him on Sunday?
Yes.
Is this politics or just
no, politics. Politics.
Politics.
Unfortunately, it was not defined like you just requested now. Because if we were to have defined it, I wouldn't have suffered what I suffered with him, because I worked up to when he just left office now, were still believers in his work and were happy with him, were doing the best to assist himself and his government. But I never got an inch of a government from him or from anybody.
You were never involved? When the time came?
I was never involved,
yes.
Not a thing. None in business, none in appointments. But as one will say, Allah made it like that. So I have no quarrel with him or anybody.
So since 2003, basically, you were together?
Yes.
You were serving. Indeed, I think you were the, I don't know at what
Director
point you became
General.
the Director General of the Buhari Support
right
Group
from the beginning,
Center.
I was the one who established the nucleus of his campaign by the support groups. I was the first one to introduce support groups, and we worked very hard.
Who was funding those support groups?
I was making it myself, getting to people and making sure that they understand what they will do, and they will give us, some will give us furniture, some will give us houses, whatever. And nothing from him.
Why is that? If you I've seen pictures of you, me and him,
yes.
acknowledging your work in the support group.
Yes.
When in 2019, when he won again for second term.
That's right.
He did. But so how come you feel left out because you're expecting to be in the government?
Well, wouldn't you feel left out if it were you? I think it was not fair. And with my age, I cannot go begging anybody. So I did not beg him or tell him or ask him why, because as president, not only him, it's not himself that the president is not the president that you will be afraid of, it's the people around him. Because if anything happens, somebody can go and damage you for nothing, and nobody will know. You will have nobody to help you.
So you didn't protest that you are not...
to whom? To him. If he didn't want to give me anything, and he refused to give me anything, to whom will I protest? He is the president.
Did you have access to at least put your case?
He even called me one time himself. About, I don't know, let me say 7 months, 8 months ago. But what will I say? I went to him. All I did innocently was to go with some proposals for myself or my friends or some other people, if he would do. He did nothing. Just as if I didn't see anybody, as if I met a rock.
But you tried to be governor yourself under CPC, which was his party.
Yes.
Did you get support to become the governor of Kaduna State at that point?
He's not the kind of man that supports anybody. Even at that time when he was looking for president, he was looking for money. Didn't we buy cards for him to pay for his own contest? He didn't give me. I sold houses, machineries, farms, and so on and so forth to pay for my money for governorship, all the levies that go with looking for governorship, and to pay for people, vehicles, campaigns, and so on and so forth, all for nothing in his support, but nothing. I got nothing from him. I don't think there was anybody who came to me and said, because of General Buhari, here you are, we give you this much for your campaign. Nobody did. We just suffered together, and in the long run, could not win. So in politics, you either win or lose.
What is your impression generally of the performance of his government? He has just stepped down, and you are the DG of the support group for all these years. What do you make of the general performance of it?
Forget about my support group, because some people had the intention of doing away with my support group, and they did away with my support group. They took up the seats, and they enjoyed it, I hope, all these years. But they're an onlooker. I would say, you know, for every government, there are the goods and the bads. You cannot be perfect in everything. My main problem was that, the one that touches me most, is that some people around him sort of carved him away from some of his people who could have helped him in doing whatever he was doing as a president. Otherwise, he did his best, and he has finished. We'll now look forward to the next president. Yes.
What do you expect? Because you are also actually part of the campaign committee of Tinubu, the present president.
Yes.
He recognized your contribution.
Yes.
So what do you expect now that we have a new government?
You see, in Nigeria, governments or people who look for positions like president and governor and so on, they just look for those positions because they can do it. Maybe they have the wherewithal, the money to do it. But they never prepared for what to do if they win. There are so many things that you need. People in Nigeria in future, I think, should make sure that it's not only a matter of to write one big book and say this is what you want to do. But there are specific things, positions and items that you need to know about: how to control the country, how to manage the country, how to instill discipline, how to also empower people, how economically, in various fields. So the government is not ready. Everybody, the president, the governors, and let alone the local government chairman, they have nothing on the ground. If you tell him what does he want to do in the next 6 months, he has nothing. He may bring a fat book and say, read, but that is
That's
not
a manifesto.
Yeah, that is not the truth.
But what would you advise if you were to meet President Tinubu? What will you say to him to do?
There are people, even in the Presidential Campaign Council, who are never talked to, who are useful, who have brains, who have ideas, who know what to contribute to him, to his government. And he's not a joke, but he doesn't know. and no, those around him don't want to bring them near him, because everybody who comes near the president wants himself alone and alone, and what he wants only is what he wants. So it is very important if Mr. President will try to look for people from various states who have ideas, who are worth talking to, and discuss with them for 30 minutes, 1 hour, and he will gain a lot.
You mean these are not members of, because his cabinet is supposed to be picked from every state, so that's why the kind of variety should be.
This cabinet, you know, those cabinet people now, politicians, they just like themselves, their brothers and sisters, their pockets, and so on. This is the problem. For instance, you may be surprised to find that a governor may not be talking to some people in his state because he doesn't like them. Just because of that. Not because they have done anything wrong. But he doesn't like them, and he doesn't want them to come near the president. He is the one who has been elected as governor, and so he is the one to do everything. And he doesn't want anybody near. So that is not fair. So it is not easy for Mr. President to get through his ministers or cabinets. If the ministers are not ready to, or they are not friendly to someone, if they are not friendly to you, nobody will bring you. They will say.
Yeah. There was one president, General Sani Abacha, who favored you, in a sense, made you a minister. Not just a minister, but minister of petroleum.
That's right.
Yes. How did this come about? I mean, how did you get this position? I mean, it's a very special position.
Well, you have done it. You have hit the nail on the hammer on the nail. I've never said to anybody except all those of us who know. Incidentally, you know, there are connections. And one of my wives was a schoolmate to Mrs. Mariam Abacha. And it was my wife that took me to Mrs. Mariam Abacha, and Mrs. Mariam Abacha introduced me to General Abacha. So there were so many things that were going on. He noticed what I was doing, how I was doing, many other interactions. I think, you know, sometimes it depends upon how you present yourself and how you behave, how you do things. Those things matter. And I think it happened that he liked the ways I was conducting myself within the family. It's like a friendship of my wife and his wife and himself and myself. So after the first 4 years, I think, when Chafe left, they were thinking of they were not happy or how I think how he finished. So they wanted to change it. Somehow, I think Mrs. Abacha brought it. I don't know because I was not there. I cannot say for sure. But this is what I was thinking, or I was told. Mrs. Abacha suggested my name to General Sani Abacha. And he supported.
And how did ordinarily people say petroleum.
Yes.
This is life changing. Did being a minister of petroleum actually change your life? Did it bring you friends and business connections and resources? Being a crucial ministry.
I didn't last that long to.
Okay.
Because Within 5 months, also the problem happened. Everybody died. 6-7 months were off. So I was even on the verge of going around to various sections of the NNPC and the other establishments of petroleum when the work finished. So I don't think it is possible for one to say. One thing for sure I know is that once a minister, always a minister. So since then, everybody calls me a minister, including yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Good stuff. Yes. That's all.
Yes. So how is life after being minister for you?
Oh, it's very interesting because the day I was given the position of minister, my phone started ringing left, right, and center.
Yes.
And the day Abacha died,
Yes.
no more phones.
Nobody called you again?
Nobody was calling me again. People you see, they will just say bye-bye to you. You can't even have any discussion with anybody. All the people were for the ministerial position. All the people who are coming to you were for the ministerial position. So once the minister is not there, you are no more. Everybody goes his own way. They go and look for the new minister. It was very strange. You will sit down wondering what is happening. And because the position is not yours, but it is the position, it was the position they were coming to, not you as a person.
So, but how is it personally for you? Now, you've been a minister, everybody knows you in the country, but how do you, what do you do? What do you do with your life now?
Well, what I had been doing with my life before is what I continue to do. I had been taking life very easy, doing what I know, read, talk, and discuss with friends. I have no particular interest in doing things that I cannot do, or I do all the things that I could do. Luckily enough, all my children have now completed their university education. So I have no small children, no school fees to pay, nothing except all I have is maybe taxes for houses or whatever. And one can always try to manage and get out of it. So it's not difficult. Once you take life easy, then life will not maltreat you. Yes.
You mentioned that even as a young man in Kaduna, you had 2 wives before you.
Yes.
How is family life for you? Has the family grown big since then?
Oh yes. Since then, I later had up to 4 wives, and I have 25 children. Well, that's big enough. 25 children, 4 wives. We are on, and we are successfully running the house with their help. They keep me happy. I try to keep them happy.
Do you have any extracurricular activities besides? I mean, do you engage in things for leisure outside work?
Well, not much, but most of the things I do is I read. Especially the holy books, the Quran and the other books that are recommended and which I choose to do. I also I used to, but now with the age, I used to play hockey, but now not anymore. And table tennis sometimes. I do play table tennis in my house, but nothing much.
So what's your typical day like?
Well, my typical day is I wake up in the morning, of course, go to the Subh prayer, come back.
You go to the mosque? You're able to walk to the mosque?
Yes, I go to the mosque.
Yes.
And then I come back, I sleep, I read the Quran, and after some time, if I'm in Abuja, I phone my family in Zaria. If I'm in Zaria, then I don't need to phone them, they come and greet me. So after that, if I have any appointments with friends or relatives or so on, I go and see them, or they come and see me. If I don't have, I just stay at home. And at lunchtime I eat and pray, of course. All the prayers are online, I must. And in the evening I watch from time to time various television stations, including Trust TV, of course. I've been, since you came on air, I've been very interested and been with it. Then after the network news, the NTA network news, then I started to look for a way to sleep. That's
Is it challenging to sleep at this age?
No, so far I have no challenges sleeping. I sleep well, no problem whatsoever.
Do you live in Abuja or in Zaria? There's a dichotomy, the family there, you are here.
No, I live in Zaria. Because always you find my 3 wives in Zaria, and I've come with one to Abuja.
Okay.
We stay for 2 weeks or whatever number of days, then go back, stay for a week or so, and then come back to Abuja. But it seems I spend more time in Abuja because in Abuja I find that there are more people of my age or my thinking or that I can interact with than in Zaria. So I'm more in Abuja than in Zaria.
I think before we finish, my last question to you is on the petroleum subsidy.
Yes.
It's only right that as former minister yourself, I ask you, what do you make of the situation now? This subsidy is supposed to have been removed, and we are now in a situation. Do you think it was done the right way? If not, is there a better way to do it?
Well, this subsidy, I think there needs to be some consultation. I think the president was in a hurry to have removed the subsidy without telling people what to do. People are hungry. And I will just say it very quickly, that during Shagari there was the help whereby food was imported, and everybody was happy. They were getting rice and so on and so forth from National Supply Company. We should be able to use this money, which they say which is surplus in dollars, because of the removal of subsidy. We should be able to use it to get food for people. People are dying, people are hungry, and that is one of the best things to do. Secondly, transportation is also biting. And I know even 25 years ago when I was minister, I had the gas being used for cars variously. Why not spend some of that money and make sure that all the taxis, buses, and so on and so forth are now turned into gas utilizing vehicles, so that people will have transport and everything easy. Then we will have a better reach. And the third one, which I must say is the life of health of the people. Believe me, we need to be serious in Nigeria. We cannot continue crying about mosquitoes. We should be able to get rid of mosquitoes ourselves instead of crying every day for years and years. We have the money, we have the intelligent people, we have everything.
Thank you, Alhaji Umaru Dembo, for granting us this opportunity to go over your life. And thank you, viewers, for joining us in this episode of Reminiscences with Alhaji Umaru Dembo. And until we meet again, goodbye.